welcome to Sonder. My name is Maggie and I am a knitter, spinner, general crafter, mother, and doctor who lives in Denver, Colorado. How is everybody? It is a beautiful fall day here in Denver. It is Tuesday, November 7th, and I wanted to come on here and talk to you about all of the knitting that I have been doing over the last couple of weeks. Life has been really good lately. We had our first snow here in Denver, which is always, for me, like the most magical thing in the world. I think growing up in the small ski town in Northwest Colorado, snow means fun and peace and calm. And yeah, I am really, really excited about the winter. And I'm also on a pretty easy rotation right now. As a resident physician, we kind of rotate through a lot of different hospitals, and we occasionally get the chance to do electives where we have dedicated time to focus on developing a specific skill or subject. And right now I'm working on ultrasound and getting better at using kind of ultrasound in my everyday practice as a physician, which is really cool and really fun, but also means I have some free time, which is great. So with that, I have a lot of knitting to talk to you all about. For those of y'all who did not tune in to my Rhinebeck recap, I did have a couple of finished objects on there that I'm just gonna show off really quickly. But if you want to know more details about those, I recommend going and watching that Rhinebeck recap. If you go to like 15 minutes in or something, I like gabbed on forever, but if you go to like 15 minutes in, then I talk more about these. But I thought, because not everybody wants to watch a Rhinebeck recap, I thought I would just show them off one more time as well. And I right now am wearing my Rizzo, which is a really, really fun little top that is designed by Poison Girl Knits, I believe. And this is something that I knit many, many moons ago. If I could knit it again, I would make it less cropped. It's like well above my belly button. And so I feel like I can kind of only wear it with overalls, but luckily I wear a lot of overalls, so that's fine. I have a lot to talk to you about today. I have a couple of finished objects, a bunch of works in progress, a knit-along that I want to start, and some spinning as well. So let's just jump right in, why don't we? So the first finished object I have is my Tessellated Pullover. This was the Rhinebeck sweater that was designed by Andrea Mowry, and I knit this out of Spincycle dyed in the wool in the deep bump, which like I wish I would have spun for this, but I had this in stash, and so it's also nice to use up stash. And then I also had is it Quince & Co. Chickadee in the Cypress colorway, and then the Indigenous collective, it's not Mohair, it's alpaca, but Dang from Farmer's Daughters Fibers. And this is officially blocked, but obviously like ends are not woven in. So the snow quickly came and then left, and with the snow melting, so too went my desire to totally finish this. I did put it on, I'll put it on again, and it fits so well. I really, really love how this ended up blocking. Sorry, it's getting caught on my bracelet, but I really, really loved how this ended up blocking out, and it ended up just being a little bit bigger. Before it was very, very it was just smaller than I had wanted it to be, but now I feel like it is like the perfect ease and the perfect length for me. So I think this is something I'm gonna wear all the time this winter. I think that it's something that is casual, but has enough professional side to be able to wear it with some like high leg trousers at work. So yeah, I really love it. I also love that it is in like a fingering sport weight, because that means that it's not too hot, which when you are going into a climate controlled hospital every day, it is just, you don't need like a big wool sweater inside the hospital. And so this is nice because it actually allows me to wear my knitwear at work. But yeah, I really, really love it. My belly button is like right here. So it is just below my belly button. Maybe a little bit more cropped than I would have liked if it was like totally up to me. I think I probably would have knit it for another maybe inch, but I am also 5'10". I'm quite tall. And so I think part of that is just that I am a tall human being. So it makes sense. I also didn't block this aggressively at all. I just got it wet and laid it down flat. And so I think that if I wanted to make it a little bit longer, that is absolutely something that I could do with blocking. The beauty of knitting with wool and wool fabrics is that if you block it to the dimensions that you want it to be, wool has memory and will stay there. So yeah, really, really love this. The details in this sweater are divine. Andrea Mowry is just released today her sock for her next knit along, and it is like a tessellated sock, which is so fun. And also, like, if I never have to knit the tessellated pattern again, it will be too soon. No, I really love it. Like, this is such a gorgeous pattern in such a beautiful stitch pattern. And I think it's really, really fun because with this slip stitching, it allows people who are not super comfortable with color work to get the color work effect, the sort of like stranded color work effect. But it was not my favorite thing to knit. And so I think this in sock form is not in my future, but I hope that tons of people knit those socks because they're so cute. So this is my first finished object. I'm gonna take a sip of my Coca-Cola. And my next finished object is definitely the thing that I'm the most proud of making in the world. And that is my hand-spun hand-spun traveler. I feel like y'all just need like a little bit of close up here. I am just obsessed with this. Y'all, I wear it constantly. Look at the way that this happened back here. There's like this greeny bit. Hello. I did not manage colors. This was my first hand spun sweater ever, and it is my favorite thing I've ever made. I can say confidently that I love it. Let me throw it on for you just because why not? It's beautiful. This was hand spun that I spun out of Hello Yarns Corriedale base. It's actually this one. So Hello Yarn in the Enchilada night colorway. And then this was just a mini skein that I had of this like pale purple, which I thought would go super, super well. I really love, look at the size of this hood. I mean, it is like, you are just ready for anything in this hood. I love it. This is the best thing I've ever made. I'm just like absolutely obsessed with it. I hear that with more Traveler stuff coming out, Andrea Mowry is going to plan a like spin it to knit it knit along for this, and I could not recommend it enough. I think that this pattern is very, very forgiving when it comes to knitting with your hand spun. And that is largely because you have these like purl ridges that just breaks things up a little bit. And I think it like hides a variety of issues, you know? The other thing is that the fact that it's so it's like a little bit oversized, but not crazy oversized, means that like, honestly, you can really go like up or down with your gauge and like, you'll probably have a pretty similar look. I wonder if part of the reason my hood is so ginormous is because my gauge was probably off a little bit, but I love it. She's perfect. Look at this. I just, so good. Let's see. There's a lot more details about this sweater in my previous Rhinebeck recap. The only thing that I wanted to point out is that, would you know that these two sleeves are totally different gauges? Probably not. They look exactly the same, but they're totally different gauges. I haven't actually counted, but I can like feel that one is more dense than the other. And the only reason why I wanted to point that out is that I ended up running out of yarn. And so I had to frantically order more of this and spin this arm's worth of yarn. And I just wanted to point that out because they are different gauges, different stitch counts, but they look exactly the same apart from the fact that it's hand spun. So obviously the colors are different. But I think this is like another testament to the fact that it's super forgiving sweater to knit. So anyway, if you are a hand spinner, even if you're just getting into it, I highly, highly recommend getting a sweater's quantity and just like going for it. Ugh. Y'all, it is just my favorite thing. Anyway, okay, I'll stop gushing about this, and also it's far too hot to wear it right now. But those are my only finished objects. And so why don't we move on to talking about a knit along that I want to do. I am so sad, along with the rest, I feel like, of the knitting community, with finding out that Pom Pom magazine is closing. I have right here a grouping of my collection of everything that has been published with Pom Pom Press. I haven't collected every single magazine that they have put out, but I've collected many of them, and I've knit from a lot of them as well. And I just think what they have done for the knitting community is so, so beautiful. And I should say making community, because they have obviously lots and lots of crochet patterns as well. I just am stupid and like can't figure out how to crochet. It's like beyond my ability to wrap around. Anyway, but because of this, I wanted to start a knit along, and I think this will be a very, very casual knit along, but my plan is to put together a few different prize packages, a few prizes that are similar to the prize that I had recently, where it's a handmade bag and some yarn, really to celebrate Pom Pom and say thank you. So I think that this will probably this make along will go on for about 6 months. So I'm thinking through the rest of the winter. I haven't totally ironed everything out yet, and I'm trying to get other people involved too. So if you are a podcaster and you want to be involved, please reach out to me. I think that it would be really, really beautiful to show this press some love. So this knit along will be going on for 6 months. Let's have it start now. Why not? Whips are included. Anything that you want to make is included. Pom Pom has tons and tons of accessories. We're going into the winter or holiday season. Lots of people are making gifts and things like that, and there's tons of hats and mittens and things like that within the Pom Pom press. And my ask of you is to just knit something that has been published by Pom Pom. So that can be either from their quarterly magazine or from any of their press. This is just a few that I have. So I have Knits About Winter by Emily Foden. I have Mini Pom, and I also have The Shetland Trader by Gudrun Johnston. These are all also totally in, and there's plenty of other things that I don't have in my collection, but you can be part of this knit along if you knit anything that has been published by Pom Pom before over the next 6 months, and just use the hashtag PomPomLoveMal. And yeah, let's just show Pom Pom some love. I'm like so sad. I love the work that they're doing. And so I think that I am probably gonna dive into a couple of these. This magazine I have had forever, or this book rather, and I absolutely love it. I think that I'm going to start off by knitting a couple of things out of this book because I already have everything I need to knit those things in my stash. So the first thing that I really want to knit out of here is, y'all, this book is gorgeous. I'm like so sad. The first thing I want to knit is the soiree sweater, and this thing is gorgeous. I also like, they're like mitten liners and these beautiful mittens. I feel like those would be really good gifts. But the soiree sweater, I feel like it's something everybody knows, but it is this absolutely beautiful, oversized, cable-y yumminess with a rolled hem. And I have had this yarn in my stash forever with the plan to knit this sweater. And I feel like I'm finally gonna do it for the Pom Pom Love Mal. And that is a sweater quantity of 100% Colorado sourced and milled woolen, which is 80% 5 merino, 10% Ramadale, and 10% BFL in this naturally dyed colorway. And I'm planning to pair it with this Pearl Soho Tussock 60/40 superfine mohair and silk. Don't you think that would be so pretty? And then the other thing that I want to knit out of that is one of the shawls that is in here. Here it is. It is this Snowdrift shawl. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And I want to use some hand spun to make this. So that shawl, there's kind of like a center triangle that in this picture, has like a cool color shifting yarn. And then there are like 2 little wings that are in mohair. I think I have like plenty of mohair scraps in my stash that I can just pull on to put together to make the wing part of it. And then I am hoping to put together a combo spin for the rest of it. So I have these 3 braids of fiber that are all beautiful, and I think they would go together really well. So the first is my final braid of Hello Yarns Enchilada Night. So this is, again, what I use to make my traveler. And then I have Wound Up Fiber Arts. This is a 80-10-10 of Targhee Bamboo and Tussa Silk in the Solace colorway. And then finally, I have Nest Fiber Studio in the Spectral Illusions colorway, which is superfine merino, kid mohair, and silk. So I want to do a combo spin of all 3 of these and use it to just make like the most decadent hand spun shawl of all time. So please join me. Again, all you have to do is knit something from Pom Pom Publishing over the next 6 months and post with the hashtag PomPomLoveMal, and let's just show Pom-Pom some love. I'm so sad. All right, let's move on. Oh, I have one more very random finished object to show you. So, if you have watched my Rhinebeck recap, you know that I got COVID. And while I had COVID, I was like bored at home, and I have had all of the supplies to make lotion bars for the longest time, and I finally just did it. I will be posting a video on how to make these lotion bars because y'all, I am obsessed, but I just wanted to show them. Look how beautiful they are. So these are chamomile calendula lotion bars, and I made them specifically for knitters in mind. The oils, I infused olive oil and jojoba oil with calendula and chamomile for like probably 3 months. And then I took all of the dried flowers out of that and I mixed it with, or melted it rather, with beeswax, shea butter, and cocoa butter. And y'all, it just made the most decadent lotion bar. So these, how you use them, it is obviously like a solid puck of lotion and you just rub it on your hands. And like, I've been rubbing it all over my body. It honestly like makes my tattoos look really good. But you just rub it on your hands and it will melt with contact with your hands and it just leaves like the most decadent, So yeah, it's olive oil, jojoba oil that has been infused with chamomile and calendula. It is lanolin, shea butter, cocoa butter, and beeswax. Ugh. I mean, you can't tell like that my hands feel amazing, but it's so good. And it smells mostly just of chamomile, but I'm obsessed. So anyway, I am sending these off to a few friends and I'm just really loving it. I'm gonna be posting a video in the next few weeks about how to make this because I feel like it's a really good thing to make and give away to friends and family for the holidays. Really inexpensive, really easy, and yeah, I'm just like, it feels so good. All right, some whips. Let's talk about whips. This is the first one. You can see I have another one of these lotion bars in here, but this is Freckled Whimsey in their Dumbledore's Army sock, self-striping sock colorway. And I am knitting this giant sock for my husband for Christmas. Socks are the thing that he loves the most, and it is a lot to knit this big of a sock, but I love him, and so I'm doing it. The self-striping yarn did come with a mini, which is what I'm using for this, and will probably use for the toes as well, but the heel, I am just using a scrap. I really, really love this. I do really dislike that I accidentally started here. I wish that I would have just started without that tiny little microstripe of the like yellow, but here we are, you know, it's like perfectly imperfect, and that's just the way it goes. I really love self-striping yarn. It's just so fun to just like go, go, go. And I feel like it keeps me very motivated to keep going because you're like, oh, just one more stripe, one more stripe. So the next thing that I wanted to show is another accessory that I'm knitting. And this is out of Explore Knits and Fibers Boucle yarn in the Fromaggio colorway. And I am knitting the Oslo Hat by PetiteKnit. It looks a little weird right now because I am a little worried that I'm not gonna have enough yarn to knit it just out of the boucle. And so I'm knitting a little stripe that will be covered by the brim out of leftover from my Tessellated. So this is the leftover Spincycle and the leftover Mohair from my Tessellated, and I am putting a nice little Mohair Spincycle stripe on the inside of my hat to extend my boucle yarn. But this will just be a nice Oslo, and I'm really, really enjoying how this is knitting up. Though I will say I'm not enjoying the process of knitting this. I just think boucle is not for me. I really use reading my knitting to knit, and it's really hard for me to knit without being able to read my knitting. And I also think that it's just like not very bouncy, and also like I keep like splitting it or like not getting the whole stitch and things like that. So this was really fun, and I'm really excited to have this finished object, but boucle is just not for me, you know? Like, this was a fun experiment, and I'm ready to move on. But this will be a really, really wonderful addition to my wardrobe. The other thing that I should say about that is that with the Oslo hat, I am doing it very roughly on the Oslo hat. I first cast on with what I thought would be the right size and put it on my head, and it was ginormous. And so I ended up having to rip the whole hat out after I had gotten past where I am right now. And I'm having to make it like way smaller than even like the baby size. So I don't know what's going on with my my gauge, but here we are. I'll save the most fun for last. The next thing that I am working on is a Christmas sweater for my nephew. I have already showed off the other sweater that I knit for him. This is the teddy bear sweater by PetiteKnit, and I am not doing the teddy bear part. I am just marling scraps together to make cute little sweaters for the nieces and nephews, and I've made a few sweaters for Edie Mae. But this is his. I really, really love it. I'm doing his in stripes, kind of alternating light with a dark marl and like darker with a dark marl, and it's really fun. The only thing that I do differently is that I do a fold over collar for these just because I like the way it looks, but it's really fun. I don't know what is in here because it is all just scraps, but it's been really nice to just play with color and go round and round, and like baby sweaters are really, really fun for that. Speaking of Christmas, I am frantically trying to get my Christmas sweater that has been on the needles for 3 years now finished so that I can actually wear it this year. So this is the Alaska sweater by Camille Descoteaux, and I am knitting this out of a few different yarns. The first is Nightshades, which is 100% American Cormo. This is a DK weight, and it is in the color VCR. And this is that really beautiful black with like a hint of green. And then I am knitting it with Mohair. I am holding 2 strands of Mohair and 1 strand of this Spincycle, which I don't remember what it is, but I think it might be Cold Comfort. It is like whatever is their like berry pastel color changing yarn. So I'm holding 2 of these and 1 of this together for the contrast. The other thing that I have been doing, which you will see, is adding beads to be fairy lights. Oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed with this. Let me throw it on. So this is, I will say, a very heavily modified version of the Alaska sweater. I have finished one of the sleeves and I modified this sleeve heavily. So let me just come a little closer, like covered in yarn, and show you the fairy lights. So fun. So on this sweater, for one of the trees on the front and one of the trees on the back, I have added beads to the mohair to look like fairy lights. And then I also modified this to have the sleeve just be a bell sleeve. So I just cast on, knit straight down, and then did the color work around the bottom of the sleeve and added a bunch of beads to all of the trees along the sleeves to look like fairy lights as well. I'm so obsessed. So I just have one more sleeve to go. Glasses are all cattywampus. One more sleeve to go and I will be done. The sleeves are a lot of knitting because I'm not decreasing at all, and so it ends up just being like a lot of fabric. But look how cute it is. I really, really love it. The trees, because of the white mohair, to me, it kind of looks like the trees are like dusted with snow. And then the fact that the trees are that like color shifting yarn that's very pastel makes me think about those like old like 60s and 50s fake trees that are like white and silver. So anyway, I will definitely have this done. I'm like motivated and ready. Oh, I also just really, really love the way this bell sleeve looks. Like I'm just picturing wearing this every day with either, I mean, let's be real, probably like yoga pants at home or a pair of jeans, like high-waisted jeans. Stop it. I just can't. Knitting with beads is not my favorite thing, but it is really fun to see what it looks like. I love it. So I'm almost done. I just have one more sleeve to go, and then this 3 years in the making sweater will be finished. The only other thing that I had to talk about that is knitting related is a whip that I am pulling out of hibernation. This is the, I can't remember if it's the Monday or the Wednesday sweater by PetiteKnit, but I started knitting this during Christmas of last year as a knit along with my mother-in-law. And this is with Knitalong yarn. And I don't remember the colorway, but it's so gorgeous. And I had put this on hold because I needed to bind off and I didn't know how to do that. So what you can see here is that this is out of unspun yarn. And I knew that I prefer to do a tubular bind off, but I was like, how can you possibly do that with yarn that like breaks immediately? And the answer to that is a beautiful video that Mia of the Knit and Grace podcast put out, and it walks you through exactly how to do that. Sean is walking through. So Mia of the Knit and Grace podcast put out a really, really amazing tutorial of how to do the sewn tubular bind off with Knitalong yarn. And I watched it and it made me so excited because the thing is I have been wanting to finish this sweater for ages, but I just couldn't think about how to bind it off and have it look cohesive. And I've been doing the sewn tubular bind off enough that like, I just really like the way that looks and the way it stretches and fits and everything like that. And so it was like the greatest thing ever. So thank you, Mia. If you watch this, you probably don't because you're like way cooler than me. But that is such an awesome tutorial, and I'm really excited to finally finish my sweater. I'm feeling the need to like get things off the needles and kind of start fresh going into the Advent season. So, the last thing that I wanted to talk about are just the couple of books that I have read since we last chatted. Let me grab them, hold on. So I have finished 2 books since I last talked with you, and I can't remember if I talked about this one or not, so I'll discuss both of them. Again, I talked about this book a lot during my Rhinebeck recap, so I won't go into it too much here, but you should read this book. It is so good. This is The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez, and it is exquisite. This book is for anybody who really loves literary fiction, but is wanting to try science fiction for the first time. It is a character-driven novel about this woman who works on a spaceship transporting goods from like different places in the galaxy. And because she's traveling over such large distances, she has to bend space and time such that every couple of months for her is like a decade for everybody that she loves. And it's about her kind of going through this isolating and depressing existence until a boy falls from the sky and just changes her life forever. It is so good and so beautifully written. This book was exquisite, perfect, amazing. I would say the only downside to this book, which is like a tiny downside, is that the chapters are very long. And sometimes that can be just a little bit challenging for me personally to get through because the chapters are just so long, but I really like the way the chapters are split up because each chapter has a different narrator and in some ways even a different way of narrating. Y'all, it's so good. Please, if you like sci-fi or literary fiction, just like pick up The Vanished Birds. It's so good. And then the next book I read is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I apologize if I've already talked about this, but The Only One Left is such a good thriller / horror novel. It is about this nurse's aide who is sent to take care of this woman who is infamous in the town in which they live for being the sole survivor of an attack on her family. Her entire family was murdered. This was in like the 50s, and she was the only one who survived. And there are like nursery rhymes about it. There's like a lot of lore within her town. And it is about this like woman who like goes to this like spooky old house and like works for this woman who apparently was the only one left from her family. It is spooky. It is interesting. It is twisty-turny. It's wild. I would say that this is like not literary genius, but it's super fun. And if you are looking for an awesome thriller to enjoy this fall season, where I feel like lots of people are looking for like horror thrillers, then this would be a great one to pick up. All right, y'all, it is 12:15 and I need to get to work to see some patients. So I am gonna leave you there, but it was so wonderful. It's been so wonderful to connect with everybody, and I hope to be back soon with a video about how to make these amazing lotion bars. Ugh, so good. All right. I hope that the fall season or spring season is treating you very well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.